Good afternoon, and welcome to the Music and Technology Seminar at Carnegie Mellon. Our guests today are Marie DeGeorge and Sean McGowan, both from the Career and Professional Development Center at Carnegie Mellon. Sean is the Director of Employer Relations at the center, and Marie is a dedicated career consultant for the School of Music and also oversees Carnegie Mellon's on-campus student employment program. They will tell us more about what they do, invite you to learn about strategies to get internships, polish your resume, and help you with links to companies that might want to hire you. They will also tell us about the upcoming job fair at Carnegie Mellon and what companies are expected to be on campus. Please welcome Marie DeGeorge and Sean McGowan to today's seminar.
Hey, Ricardo, thank you so much for inviting us. It's an exciting time of year because everybody's starting classes, the weather's beautiful, we have a lot of employers coming to campus. So this is a perfect time for us to be at this seminar talking to you about the Career and Professional Development Center. So thank you for having us. I guess I'll go ahead and start by just giving a bit of an overview of what the Career Center does and what you can use us for in terms of support. I am what's called a career consultant, and I work with actually underclassmen from all colleges, but specifically I am the dedicated career consultant for the School of Music. So I work with undergraduate and graduate students in the School of Music, and I've been doing this for almost 7 years here at CMU. So I know a lot about the entrepreneurship program because I work closely with Monique Mead and Stephen Neely and Dennis Colwell. I also know a lot about the music and tech program now because we've been working with Ricardo for a couple of years, and he is a big supporter of our work. And we appreciate that because it's really a partnership. What we do in the Career Center is meant to support what you all are doing in the college as students, and we also support faculty for whatever programming they're doing where we can be collaborators. So we always appreciate that. So mostly what I do with students is meet one-on-one and just talk through whatever your situation is. I believe in meeting you where you are. So sometimes I meet students who really have no idea what exactly they want to do. So we might talk through what some of the options are. We might come up with a strategy, some steps that you can do to focus your job search to try to get a summer job or to get the skills that you need while you're here at CMU to get a job when you graduate. Specifically, I can help with resumes and portfolios. I do a lot of that. You'll always need those things when you apply for jobs. So it's good to have somebody else look at it, give you some feedback, talk about what employers are used to seeing, how you can make your resume and your portfolio stronger to appeal to employers. We talk about job search strategy. And I know Sean's going to talk a bit about this in just a few minutes because the marketplace is changing. A lot of employers tell us they are flooded with applications because it's so easy to find postings now and to just upload your resume as an application. So we want to talk with students about how you can stand out and the things that you can do to support your resume application. I also do mock interviews. I get a lot of music students who say they haven't necessarily done a lot of interviews, and so they want practice. And you can make an appointment with me through Handshake to do any of these things. And it's usually a half-an-hour appointment, and I see people as often as you want to come back to do these things. And networking is something we're going to talk about a little bit in this hour as well, because networking is something, it's a skill that not everybody has. It's really important to develop your comfortableness in speaking with others about your work. And because you all are probably good collaborators in the School of Music, that's something that everybody has to do. I think, just the word networking might sound intimidating, but you probably do it naturally every day, all the time, maybe without even realizing it. Just talking with people who you're working with, who you come in contact with, maybe people in your audience, if you're a performer, that's all part of building a network that will help you down the road when it comes to employment. And I look at people's applications, and if you're interested in going on to grad school, I can help with that as well. So that's sort of an overview of what I do. I am part of a department that has about 15 career consultants, and we are generally assigned by college. So I'm the School of Music, but then I have a colleague who works with art, architecture, and design students. I have another couple of colleagues who work with computer science, or a couple of other colleagues, career consultants who work with electrical and computer engineering or other engineering students. So there's a whole bunch of us that you can meet with. It doesn't have to just be me, and we all work together as a team. And we, in the career advising side, work very closely with Sean, who works on the employer side. So I'll let Sean talk a little bit about what he does, and then we'll get into some resources and some strategies.
Awesome, yeah, awesome. My name is Sean McGowan. I'm the Director of Employer Relations, and I'm really excited to be able to talk with you all today. One thing also is I'm a bit of a, I love, I have a music background, have a bachelor's degree in broadcast and communication. I like to mess around and play with all the things, whether it's from headphones or mixers, speakers, DJ on the side. So it is one of those things that I totally understand the itch that you all get in terms of being able to find that perfect sound, or why is this thing crackling, or how can we make it, more immersive and things like that. Obviously, you guys are much smarter than me and know how to actually create this stuff and manipulate it. But, as we look at what I do, I speak with all of our employers. So many of the companies that we have a relationship with or engage with us, they come and they connect with our office because at the end of the day, they're not potentially in Pittsburgh, or they're right not next door. So they need to work with my team to best understand, how do we connect with CMU students? What is it like to recruit at CMU versus recruiting at Stanford or MIT? I'm like a consultant to them on their hiring strategy. Another thing that we spend a lot of time with is companies that are hiring for volume or scaled roles. So a lot of the times when they're coming to campus, or they're coming to things like career fairs or big events like that, it's because they're trying to fill roles that they have multiple headcount needs in. So they're looking to grow that internship population, because at the end of the day, they want to convert a high percentage of those interns to full-time. And then they also want to retain that population so they're not continually going through. So they work with our team so that they can get the inside scoop of what's going on at CMU. And with that, I'm trying to get them at the very, smallest things to post their jobs and internships. How do we get your opportunities in front of you all? And that's the biggest thing. At the bottom line, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that those opportunities are in our platform for you to be able to access and find. And then again, if we can get them to campus, if we can get them to do something virtual, if we can find ways to connect, whether it's the talent acquisition team or maybe an alum or someone within a specific engineering team, that's a huge goal for us, because when they interact with you all and they get to see kind of, the things that I'm saying, they get to see that in practice. That's really where that relationship starts to build. And then they say, you know what? I want to come back here again, or I want to do something a little bit bigger the next time, or I want to engage with this population. So what my role and my team is here to do is to make sure that companies know about what we're doing. They want to be here and they want to continue to be here and grow that. So that's what I spend a lot of time doing. And when I connected with Ricardo last year and Anne Marie, and we decided we were going to do some chats, and we did get some great employer conversations going since that.
Yeah, and Sean can tell you a little bit more about those employers and who's coming to the career fair. In a minute, I want to just interject and say we're really excited about this partnership that we are building with Ricardo and the Music and Tech program. For years, I think that the School of Music students have felt that career fairs are for the engineers and the computer science students. And I've heard a lot of arts students generally say, what fair is there for us? And I always say, well, our fairs are for everybody, but if you don't find employers there that are of interest to you, you feel it's not for you. But I think more and more as this program grows, and there are so many intersections between art and technology, and CMU is really at the forefront of a lot of that work. Employers are looking at this music and technology program and saying, these students are very interesting. not purely computer science or electrical and computer engineering. They're not purely music. They're that really interesting combination. And so finding ways to represent yourself as a unique candidate, I think, is a really good thing to spend a little bit of time thinking about, because you have a really, I just think it's a very interesting and somewhat unique combination of the creative side, the musical training, and also the computer side that, a number of companies will find very interesting. So as Sean was saying, one of the things we want to make sure that we can help students do is to find the opportunities. He tries to make sure the employers are posting them in places that you can find them. I want to make sure that you all are really keenly aware of Handshake, that it is a resource where our employers post. And if you look, I hear from students all the time who say, well, shouldn't I go straight to the company website? That's more direct. Or, well, I go to LinkedIn or Indeed, that's more comprehensive. But the fact is that Handshake is the best place to start, because if an employer has posted on Handshake, if you're seeing it on CMU's Handshake, that means the employer has proactively decided to post at CMU. They don't have to post at every school. It's not like a LinkedIn where everybody in the world can see it. They've chosen what schools they want to post at. If it's on our Handshake, that means they're looking for CMU students. And when you apply through Handshake, it actually gives your application a little boost, because there's a flag that indicates that you're a CMU student. And if they're looking for CMU students, that is an advantage. And in today's market, you want every advantage you can, that you can get. Sean, is there anything that you want to add about Handshake?
No, I think the one thing to look into, and we'll talk about this, I think, in one of the next slides, but there are little tips and tricks that can help you get a better sense of who are those companies that we have a better relationship with than others. So we'll hit that in probably the next slide or so.
Okay, great. So the other resources that I want to make sure you're aware of, besides Handshake, and Handshake has job postings from external companies. We also have our on-campus jobs posted on Handshake. There are also employer events. So when employers come to campus or have virtual events where they're either introducing their company to students or they want to network and meet with students, you can find those events listed on Handshake. And the way you find it is you go to the tab that says Career Center and then Employer Events. And there are also a number of resources on Handshake that are free to students. CMU pays for them so that they're free to you. And there are resources that can help you with interviewing, with international jobs, if you're interested in that, with finding people's emails, if that's something that you want to reach out to certain people. We have a resource called Career Shift. So you can find those in a tab called Resources in the Career Center section of Handshake. And then in addition to that, we have our Career and Professional Development Center website, and that is cmu.edu/career. And on that website, you'll find all sorts of resources, tips and tricks, and sample resumes, and all sorts of information about prepping for career fairs, getting ready for interviews, things like that. And then we do have a website on the School of Music that is specifically for musicians and music students that have some music-specific job boards, music-specific festival lists, things like that. So I encourage you to look at any one of these three things or all three of them together to find job opportunities and information and resources that will be helpful to you in your job search.
Yeah. So in terms of STEM Fair coming up, you're going to be able to go in. You're going to use Handshake. You can use the mobile app or you can go into the browser. You're going to be able to see which companies are coming day 1, day 2, and day 3. The companies that are coming on day 1, it's called STEM Plus. So it's STEM and STEM-esque related opportunities. That's how we market it to companies, is that they can recruit for those roles on that day. So STEM Plus can barely be anything. There is a focus this year on more applied engineering type roles in that day. So things that align more to civil, mechanical, maybe materials, chemical. You'll see more of that on day 1 than you will on the other 2 days. And then the other 2 days will be focused on software and tech primarily. So this is going to be a lot of back end, robotics, also some hardware, chips, things like that you'll see on day 2 and day 3. So we're looking to be day 2 will be probably the most busy and probably the most popular day. We have over, I think, 67 or 68 companies coming that day, and then we have another 40 or so coming the Thursday of that week. But it can be, I'll be honest, it can be overwhelming, and that's okay. And think about the career fair and STEM fair being that opportunity for you to pitch and also find out what could be the next best step for you. So again, researching those companies. So our fair on Handshake gives you at least the baseline of like what years they're looking for, whether it be master's, undergrad. If it's they're looking for internship, they'll also have potentially their sponsorship capabilities, whether for international students. So if they're willing to, let's say, do OPT or CPT, as well as potentially sponsor H-1B, you can filter for that within Handshake on the fairs page. The other thing to think about is they're also going to have the different roles potentially that they're there for. Now, if that role is not on there, but let's say they have some related opportunity on their website that you researched ahead of time, this can be a great time for you to be like, hey, I'm interested. Here's my portfolio and resume. I saw that opportunity on your website. I'd love to know what could be the next step for me to connect with someone within that team. Who would be someone that I could potentially connect with, or what could be the next steps there? Because again, that could be a great way to kind of introduce yourself. You show that you did the research. So you're not saying like, what's a good fit for me? You're actually coming in and telling them who you are, what you're interested in, why that company is really stands out for you, and why you took the time to make it to their booth, and who could be the next person to potentially talk about. Now, granted, that recruiter may say, hey, that's actually me. I cover that team as well. We don't maybe have as many roles in that, but I also work in that. Or they could say, hey, that's not me, but if, give me your resume, write it down, and I'll see if there's someone that we can connect with. That is a great way to show your interest. So don't be discouraged if you're like, oh, they're recruiting for software engineering roles only. Looks like they're only here for semiconductor, and that's not your area. But if there is something in there, you can connect. Again, we'll also have companies coming throughout the semester too that are doing info sessions and tech talks and even coffee chats, maybe even interviewing on campus. So even if they're not coming to a career fair, they may be doing something on their own. Like, for example, we will have Apple on campus. Google will be coming to campus at one point. We'll have NVIDIA. We'll have some of these others. So again, if you don't see them at the career fair, the other aspect is sometimes their brand is so well known and they work with us, they don't need a career fair because students know their brand so well. And they're getting, like Anne-Marie said, so many applications. They're looking to do something a little more specialized. So that's why we do things like Apple Day or Google Day or Meta Day, is because those companies are so large and attract such a wealth of interest. So just to kind of give you that sense of, you can use that to filter. It's a great place to go, but please do your research before you go to the booth. Think about it this way. You're trying to differentiate yourself, and you're in a program. And I always say that this program is like the best of both worlds, that you get someone that's competent on the creative and music side and also competent on the technological side. So you have a lot to offer in terms of skill sets. So just give yourself that opportunity to stand out when you do your elevator pitch or your first introductory chat.
Yeah, and just a word about preparing for the fair. So as John said, you definitely want to look through the employers, make a decision about which ones are your priority to speak with, and then we'll have a map and you can make a play for going over to that table first, because there sometimes are lines. Okay, so for the fair, for anyone who hasn't been before, it opens at noon, but Sean, what time do people start lining up?
Probably if you want to get in there right in the beginning. And the way the time frame is 12 to 2 is all students, whether you're master's or undergrad, you can go during that time. So around 11:15, 11:30, people will start lining up to get in.
Yeah, this is the most popular fair of the year. It's the biggest crowd, And we do have, certain crowd limitations. We can't let everybody in all at the same time. So a line forms and then the door opens at noon, and then there might still be a line for a while. So you want to, plan accordingly. I don't think most people skip class for this. It is for 7 hours, so you should be able to find a time that you can go there without missing class. But you might be in line once you get into the gym for the company that you want to talk to. So just make sure you know what your maybe 2 or 3 top companies, if you can only have time to see them, that you get a chance to stand in that line. Not every table has lines, but a lot of them, the popular ones, do. You don't have to bring a stack of resumes, but it's not a bad idea. Some recruiters take them. Some have a QR code and they say, why don't you just scan the code, and then you can either upload your resume right there on your phone, or when you get home, on your computer, or they might have a link to an application, or some of them just have a check-in, like use this QR code and check in, just so that they have a record that you were there. It's a good idea to do that because it shows your interest. And they keep track of that. Again, the whole reason that they come to CMU is to meet students. They want to meet you. And so you want them to know that you were there. You don't want to just be invisible. If you're going to take your time to go, you might as well check in with them and get their contact information if you can, so that you can follow up with them as well. So some people hand out physical resumes, some don't, but you will want to have your resume prepared, because if you are going to apply at any point, you will need to upload that. The other thing I suggest you do in preparation is fill out your handshake profile if you haven't already done that, or at least update it. It doesn't have to be like really, really lengthy, but at least have some information in there, your skills, your interests, a couple of courses that you've taken that might be relevant, because employers do look at the handshake profiles. And sometimes they even find students that way. But if they meet you, they might look you up, and it would be good if your handshake profile won't blank. We didn't say this at the beginning, but if anybody has questions, I hope you'll either unmute and ask. It's not a very big group. You're welcome to do that, or just put it in the chat. Because I'm not sure how many of you have even been to a career fair before. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Okay. Anything else on the fair, Sean? Should I move on?
No, I think we're good. I think we can definitely move on.
All right. You can talk about this a little bit.
Yeah. So, we put this together last year. Not too much has really changed in terms of the titles in here, industries who hire, or trends. But, some things that we've really started to see, and you've seen this with things like the Sphere that's happening, is immersive audio. You see things like, let's just say your Meta Quest, and you're seeing things with, the Apple Vision Pro and things like that. So the immersive audio side of the house is really starting to shift. And I think we'll potentially see more in the VR, AR, XR, realm, because people are looking for those opportunities to, immerse themselves. I know right now the Sphere has the Wizard of Oz, and being able to use haptic, feedback, and being able to utilize wind and extending that broadcast across the whole, dome. I think that's where I'm really starting to see a drive in kind of that immersive extended reality. But again, in terms of what we're also seeing, AI powered workflows is naturally going to be in there as well. So how are you in your studies using AI, whether that be machine learning or some of the other elements? I think it's a huge skill set to talk about and think about how are you using that in your workflow, because undoubtedly that is going to be something whenever you are talking to companies. How are you utilizing that, whether it's working on the software or the hardware side of the house? So just something to think about as you're going through. They are going to ask that. And I think every industry in some ways has been affected with that. Another thing to think about too, and I've heard this, is like portfolios. So how are you keeping examples of your work? Do you have a website? Do you have a GitHub? Do you have something that is showing examples of your work? And I think in somewhat of a creative-esque, tech-esque, environment that you're working in, what are some areas that you can, guide employers to, whether it's through a link on your resume or in your LinkedIn or some of the others, having just that put together, maybe something that can really help you. In terms of like some of the roles that we see, audio engineer, for example, like Apple right now, they have an audio machine learning research engineer. So there's probably going to be an internship role that feeds into something like that. So when Apple comes here, seeing that, hey, we saw this role up here. What does the feeder system look like for something like that? They're not typically only looking for PhD. And I know sometimes at like the research level role, can tend to be PhD, but a lot of times they will consider masters and potentially on undergrads if, let's say, it's something of a research area and you have some experience doing that. Also, game audio. As you look at some of the gaming industry, whether that be VR gaming or whether that be, Steam, whether that be PS5 or Sony or Microsoft or some of the others, think about anything that's going to utilize a 360 sound design element to it. Even when you think about headphones that accompany it, it's really interesting. One thing that I would always recommend is look who's going to conferences like NAMM, NAMM. You're going to see who are the folks that are going to these conventions and things like that. So if you haven't been to NAMM in the past, I don't know if anyone's ever been, but it's the National Association of Music Merchants, but it's going to have a lot of the audio and hardware, and you'll see maybe even some startup companies that are emerging in that area. So you don't even have to just say, let's just go, but you can see who maybe has attended or had an expo. That's going to give you an example of what's coming new in the site. Even if you go to something like CES, being able to see kind of what's out there. I think one of the students that I talked to in the past worked at a mattress company that had speakers within the mattress. So, I mean, if you can think about where they inputting these systems, you're going to have an idea. Even when you think about immersive areas like Disney or Universal Studios, they just put in that whole new Epic Universal Studio Center. So again, people are looking for experiences right now. So, you may just be thinking like Apple Music, or you may just be thinking Pandora, but I think it's so much more than that. And the more that you think about who utilizes this, if you're playing a guitar, or if you're using a microphone, if you have a speaker system, a headphone, all of those companies build those units, and they also partner with other companies for the parts within that unit. So again, as you're researching the companies, these companies may not be coming here, and you need to figure out where are they going, or where is there potential ways that I can connect with them. So again, looking at places like where, LA, you're looking at places like, Universal Orlando. You're looking at places like New York City. You're looking at places, that have that media, Las Vegas. There are concentrations in certain locations of some of these, Santa Monica, So thinking about location, thinking about the industry, thinking about the job functional role. And this is how you can also work with your search. Again, starting with these roles to say, okay, what audio engineering roles are out there? What sound designer? What software engineering roles with an audio program? What things that you can put in there? Audio ML. So you can put these keywords in here and you'll start to get an understanding of, okay, maybe if I just put audio, what comes up? But if I put audio engineer, what also comes up? So it can be a little time consuming, but once you get an idea of the types of roles, the industries that you're searching for, the locations, you'll start to be able to come up with a list for yourself and say, okay, here's who I want to focus on. And as you see companies that are coming here, you can always check and handshake to see, okay, are any of these companies coming to Carnegie Mellon in the next couple months? Because you'll see events, you'll see the people that are coming to the career fairs. And like I said, if they're not, where can I potentially connect with them in person or virtually? So not too much else that I needed to actually add to this from last year, but just think about how your strategy is going to work for you so that you don't get overwhelmed. And I think that's the biggest thing as I've met with some of the students in this program is how do you make it manageable? Because you're doing a lot of projects and you're working on your academics. And again, it may be a highly virtual process too.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, we are encouraging students to be open-minded about smaller companies and
Yep.
medium-sized companies. I think it's natural to know the Apples and the Googles and to think that that's where you want to work. And that can be part of your application strategy. But I would suggest that you not limit it to those big companies, because not only is it extremely competitive because so many students and, professionals at all levels want to work at those companies. So it's hard just to even get noticed. But, they might not be doing the most hiring right now. Some of the smaller and medium-sized companies who are growing are the ones who are going to be possibly hiring more people, actually. So, you might want to remain open-minded, even if you haven't even heard of the company. Research it and see if it sounds like an interesting place to work, a place that, meets with your values and your interests, and, consider applying to smaller places as well.
And to give you guys a sense, I'll give you three that I've met with recently. So Rockstar Games, Dolby Labs, Bose, and just say for like Dolby Labs, they're out in San Francisco, but they do things like Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, voice technology for cinema. And Anita, who is the recruiter and our point of contact there, she recruits for her internship program. They hold about 70 interns in the summer that are going to be based in San Francisco, but they look at their advanced technology group, entertainment division, but music and technology type students tend to go towards more of the entertainment division from what I've seen. But they also mention that automotive is becoming a much bigger part of the business for them. So they're also looking for folks that have some of that interest and passion in the automotive space as well. That's there. And again, as it relates to Bose, that we've been working with them for quite some time. They actually have a decent amount of grads from us, but it's highly competitive. They look for people that are interested in that machine learning. They have a little bit of the hardware, a little bit of the software, which I think are some of you in this room. But EC students with music and tech would be a good focus for them based off the conversations that I've had. But they're looking to bring 20 summer interns. They want students to come back and be ambassadors there. But Boston is where that location would be. So if Boston is something that you're looking for, and I think it's Mohammed Harris Ismani is a music technology alum that's there. And CMU is definitely an interest for them. And Rockstar, they're amazing. We've worked with them for quite some time. And like I said, the gaming industry is a little bit different in their sense. A lot of it is, they get on runs. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto 6 will come out at some point in the next year. And then as they're developing, their games are so open and massive. And sound engineering is so pivotal for them because they know people that are buying those games are playing those games for hundreds of hours, and being able to get the dialects right, and to how does this the horse hooves going through, how is that coming through on headphones. So it's super important to their development. But that's just three companies that we've met with that have an interest as well.
Yeah, and just a word about the timeline. So we're talking about this career fair that's coming up. I guess that's next week. But other than that fair, it's a little bit early to be applying to internships. Certainly, if you look online and you find internships that are posted already, then go ahead and apply as soon as you see them, because a lot of companies look at applications on a rolling basis. So if you see it and you're interested, you might as well apply. Even if it says the deadline is December 30th, get it in earlier if you can. But if you're looking now and you're not finding a lot, it's because it's a little bit early in the cycle for summer internships for next summer. Certain industries post internships early. The financial services is notorious for that. A lot of the big banks in New York have already finished their recruiting for the summer class of 26. Consulting as well. They're already done. But a lot of the tech companies are going to be doing it now, the big ones, now, September, October, but some of the smaller ones are going to happen. They're going to start posting their internship opportunities for the summer later in the fall. So, don't panic. And the the job fair is certainly not the only place. It's just a nice place to start if you haven't been to one before, but you're going to be wanting to look online throughout this semester and applying to things as you find them. And then for full-time hires, for those of you who are going to be graduating, the cycle is about the same. You can start looking this fall. Employers who want to hire recent grads, they know that they're posting now and you're not going to be available until next May. But that's how they do it. So you can start your research now, but you will be applying to these things for the next, 6 months or so. All right. Do we have a question in the chat? Did I just hear a ding?
No, I think Justin just put something in there about
currently working for Bose. He's a good person to reach out to, talk to him over the summer. Okay, that's good. And you know what? Thanks for sharing that, Justin. It's really useful to talk to each other because a lot of times somebody knows somebody who, you could then reach out to. So I think a lot of informal networking pays big dividends, right? So we're talking about the formal process of submitting a resume online, and that's always going to be a step that's required to get a job. But the informal networking that you can do and just the conversations and sharing of information is what will often lead to you finding an opportunity that you end up being able to interview for. All right, handshake stats. Sean, you want to say a word about this list?
Yeah, and I'm just pumped that someone put in Suno that's going to be here on day 3. They are a music technology company. So make sure if there is a company that you're going to go see, day 3 is a day that you mark off and go check them out because they are a cool company that's a newer one for us. So, no, I think, like I said, this goes back to the startup era, type of thing. So when you're thinking about looking online, the library actually has some resources that we provide, which is through there's one tool called CB Insights, there's another tool called D&B Hoovers, and then we also have Career Shift in Handshake under Career Resources. So you've got a couple different tools that we make available to you, and you can actually find that in Handshake under Career Center Resources. And you'd be able to kind of search for companies based off different attributes. So please, definitely, Suno is a smaller company like that. And again, those companies don't have the influx of applications that maybe the bigger ones do. And also, they may have opportunities floating all the way into the spring because startup companies hire as needed versus like in a typical traditional window. So I'm just pumped that you guys put that in the chat. But in terms of that, it's tougher in some ways to look at like the statistics. So when we looked at the over 300 related jobs and internship posted in 24-25, there's definitely more than that. I think I was putting in job titles that contained audio, or they had music, or they had or they had things like sound in there. So it's tougher because it's tough to look at it through an industry. It's tougher to look at if we just put engineering, that'd get mixed in with some of the traditional engineering, or if we just put software, that would get looped in with the more software heavy. So there's more jobs than that were actually located. And if you just go into Handshake right now in keyword audio or sound, you're going to see many of the types of internships and jobs that you see on this page, but they are being posted. These opportunities here have been posted for almost 2 years. I know Vocal Technology has their jobs in there right now. Some of these are not in there yet, but they have been in there in the past year or so. So just to keep, you can actually save searches in Handshake too. So if you create a specific search filter, you can save that and call it like, hey, this is my sound engineering search. This is my digital signal processing search. That way you'll get notified. Within there, you'll be able to kind of revisit that. And the way Handshake works as well, the more types of jobs that you're applying for or favoriting or liking or types of company, the better Handshake will do to, again, it's all machine learning, right? You guys are building this stuff. So it's just like Spotify. The more that you start liking things and applying things and clicking on things, the more it's going to feed you that type of job. And the companies that you're seeing are companies that we've approved specifically and that we've approved their job as well. Not every company do I know personally or I've had a meeting with. That's where you can actually go in, and there's a thing called collections. So if you go into Handshake and you go into jobs, and let's say you're searching for specific jobs, you can click a filter called Career Collection, and you'll see a couple options. One is called Relationship with CPDC. If you click that, all the jobs that you'll see would be companies that my team has met with personally, whether it's virtual or in person. So you at least know those jobs. They know somebody at my career center, so they must really want me, right? The first level is they posted to see a Handshake. The second level is they have a relationship. The third level is they're coming on campus, and the fourth level is they're a career sponsor, which we also have as a career collection. So that's kind of where you can see the different levels of relationships that they have with us. But it can just give you a better sense if you're ever like, who does the career center talk to? You can actually see that within that filter opportunity.
Yeah, and just to put this in context, over 300 related jobs that are related to music and tech. Just today I looked and I saw that there's over 10,000 jobs posted on Handshake.
Yeah.
At the height of recruiting season, which will happen in a few months, there might be over 30 or 40,000 jobs on Handshake. Yes. So it's really important to be able to, through trial and error, find search words, keywords, filters that help you narrow down those jobs so that you can find these 300 or so that are related, because then you're going to be able to target, your applications much more effectively. And it's an exciting list because as the music and technology program grows, not only do employers hear about the cool work that's being done at CMU in the School of Music and the technology program, but as alums get hired into positions, then they can start recruiting from CMU as well. So it's a wonderful relationship that is building. So as the program builds, so do employers who are interested in the program. So this is a really good time to be part of this program and looking at jobs that are related.
And that's also us dropping the seed to all of you as you go out and do some amazing things and create some cool jobs and, be able to create innovative solutions and products. Just remember, you're also a representation of the music and technology program, and try to find ways to influence your employer to come back. And whether that's connect and talk to students like yourself, or to come and be a mentor or help somebody understand kind of the career trajectory. The alumni population is super influential, and especially a lot of the smaller programs.
Yeah, for sure. I think we just covered all of this.
Yep.
I will say that I did compile this list. It is not comprehensive in that I'm sure, companies out there who are interested in doing cool work in this space that I don't have on this list. But this is a list that I compiled last year with Sean and with Ricardo. I don't have a place to post it on the music website, so I think I'm going to post it on our Career Center website under college-specific resources. I'll post it there, and then if anybody has other things that you want to add to it, let me know, because it's always good for us to know from you as well. If there are employers that you find interesting, I can add to this list. These are companies that are, we think, related to the kind of work that you all might end up doing. And it just has an indicator of where they're located and some example jobs that they've posted recently. Also, just one more thing on communicating to music students. I do a music student, it's called a career newsletter. I've been doing it about once a month, and I will try to include things, especially as Sean's saying, about employers who are coming on campus who might be of interest to you, specifically this group, because what you're interested in might be a little different than what some of the performance majors are interested in, but I want to make sure that the newsletter is relevant to you as well. So I haven't done my September issue yet, but I'll be doing that within a week or two. One other resource that we want to make sure you're aware of is something on our Career Center website, and the tab is called Outcomes, and that's not necessarily an intuitive word, so I just wanted to point it out and explain that outcomes in our lingo in the career world is where do people end up basically when they graduate? What kind of jobs do they have? Who's the employer? What are the roles? And you can filter our outcomes, which is data that we've collected from all graduates. Every year we do this. And we spend a lot of time tracking down our recent grads. So we end up with about a 92% overall knowledge rate. So some schools are satisfied knowing what 30 or 40% of their students do when they graduate. We work really hard to get almost 100%. We never find absolutely everybody, but you can then filter it. So you can see specifically, what do music students do last year or the year before. We have 4 years worth of data in there, and we have not yet published the class of 25. We'll do that in December. We're still collecting it right now. But in there, you can see the class of 24, 23, 22, 21. You can filter it by music. You can filter it down as narrowly as the music and technology program as a major. And it gives you a sense of where people have gone. So you can see that somebody went to Amazon Web Services to work when they graduated. Someone was at Apple, someone got hired by Comcast, Dolby, LG, Samsung, and someone was self-employed. So that's just looking at music and technology students. But if you're curious, like, where do ECE students get jobs? What are the roles that they get? What kind of job titles? And then on the outcomes, we call this a dashboard. You can also get a sense for salaries. You can see the range of the salaries. You can see the median salary, and you can also see locations. Where are our CMU graduates ending up? A lot of them go to New York. A lot of them go to the Bay Area. A number of them stay here in Pittsburgh. But it's just a way to see what are other students doing, and it might give you some ideas about places where you might want to look to see if they have opportunities now as well. All right, and then the last point that we really want to hit home is this idea of building your network. I just want to point out a couple of resources that you can use besides talking to your faculty, your friends, other students from other programs, collaborators, patrons, if you're a performer, people in the community. All of these touch points are potentially people who you can talk to about, you know, the fact that you're interested in looking for a job for this summer. Do they know anything or anyone that you might want to talk to about roles? Also, that you can get information about their career paths. What did they do? How did they get where they are? You get into interesting conversations. You learn things you never expected to learn, and that can lead you someplace really fun and exciting. So CM Universe is our CMU resource. We call it our own little LinkedIn. This is all CMU alums who are on CM Universe, and they are there because they want to connect with students. So you can very easily sign up for an account and then search on there and see if there are people who are doing things that you're interested in learning about, and then you can connect with them on CM Universe. And the other one is LinkedIn. If you go to the Carnegie Mellon University LinkedIn page, there is a tab in the menu down, just a little bit down from the top, and there's an alumni tab, and you can see that currently there are 115,000 alumni from CMU on LinkedIn, and you can connect with people that way. So it's a good way to find people who are doing things that you're interested in. And as Sean said, our alumni community is extremely supportive of current students and also influential in hiring decisions. So if you find a CMU alum who's working in a place you're interested in learning more about, you can connect with them on LinkedIn and then maybe start a conversation with them via email or via LinkedIn message. And you never know where that might lead. So we have found, I can't emphasize it enough really, in today's market, just applying by uploading your resume and pressing apply is often not good enough. You want to take that extra step. And sometimes that means talking to someone who works there. Sometimes that means writing a compelling cover letter. Sometimes that means going to an employer event here on campus and then following up with that recruiter to let them know that you enjoyed their talk. All those little extra things will help a lot in terms of helping you stand out in a sea of resumes.
And and the one thing you don't always have to do the traditional, especially in this field. You've got people that are presenting at virtual conferences. You've got people putting like little, articles out there. In some ways it is a small field. So being able, like Anne Marie said, to like just reach out and be like, I found what you wrote or what you shared or that video you posted on your Instagram that was really interesting. Like that is something that can really stand out. You're not going to them saying, hey, can you refer me for a job, or hey, I applied, you're actually connecting with them on the art or the technology or the music. And that's going to show them the passion, the interest. I talk to employers every day and I say, what is the thing that really, what makes a candidate stand out? And it's as easy as showing, your motivation, showing your interest and being likable, having somebody, because again, somebody's going to sit next to you for 40 or 50 hours. Can you, talk about, are you interested in what they do? That's going to come across, and that's why I say, when you get to that company or that booth or that employer, don't just say, what roles do you have or what does your company do? Take a few seconds, look on your phone, research if you have to, if you see something, and say, hey, what can I talk about at this? And how can I relate my experiences and my passion? And again, a lot of you are probably tinkerers. You probably have tinkered with something, or there's a reason you're in this, or you've composed, or you've done something. Find something that you can be relatable on, and that's going to be a great way to enter into that conversation.
So I think we're out of time now.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't want to hold you guys over, but we just want to say how much we appreciate being invited to your seminar and being able to present to you, and to invite you to come and see either of us and or our colleagues anytime. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. And we're really excited to see where you take your careers, because you're all doing amazing work. And we're really always interested to hear what you're doing.
Yes, that's a great presentation. I do have one quick question, and that is, when is it too early to know about your internship for next summer? And when is it too late?
So, there's no right or wrong to that. I know people who already have their internships lined up for this coming summer. And I know people who in May of last year got their job that started in the end of May of last year. So, yeah, as I said, I think most companies the big companies are starting now to recruit, and the smaller ones will happen a little bit later in this semester and through the winter.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question. I'm always looking at competitive advantages. I'm Nick of Lahacas. With this, actually, I agree totally with Ricardo. This is an excellent presentation, and I always look at. Obviously, your focus is on students that are at Carnegie Mellon right now, but with your vast knowledge, do you link or naturally link to people that are recruiting new students to Carnegie Mellon with all the marketing stuff that you learn in the industry and everything, and why Carnegie Mellon is different? Is that something that you have time to do, or is it naturally linked to the people that recruit?
We meet actually yearly with the admissions team, and we go over a lot of the first destination outcomes. We go over some of the things of, what employers are saying. So every year we get a roundtable, and all of the admissions people are in a room, and it's a couple of us, and we're talking about kind of what's happening from, Anne Marie works a lot with student employment and the experiences they get while they're here. I'm talking a lot about what employers are saying and some of the success. Okay. We have a data person. Yeah, we try to funnel so that way the outcomes are there. And I'll be honest, when the students put together the survey in the beginning, one of the biggest reasons they come to Carnegie Mellon is for the opportunities they get after they graduate. So we're a very important office to why they're coming here too.
Okay, thank you. I also noticed that you have a DJing background.
Yeah.
I'm old enough that I was very cynical about people that did DJing because there was no talent there. I have a studio in my house, and fortunately I had him come over and he set up a DJing thing, and I was overwhelmed by him putting together two different tempos of songs and genres and all kinds of things. I'm a total fan of DJing and respect for DJs.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm more than just pressing play, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Is there a business for students in DJing?
Oh, there is. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I think one of the things, and that's also an opportunity, because again, a lot of the DJ software, and there's DJ hardware, and there's turntable software, and also the EDM movement has gone very popular. So I think, students, that's a great way, one, to understand beats per minute and being able to understand how to really mix and combine different aspects. But yeah, I mean, when you get into a SoundCloud or some of the software, you'll see the different layers. It's crazy. So yeah, there's a market out there.
I didn't see it on your list, but there was so many things on your list that I couldn't absorb them all.
Yeah. Right now, I think Anne Marie had a great slide about kind of the first destination outcomes of where our students kind of go in terms of like digital signal processing, software engineering. There's just such
that's
a
more of
such
an
a
entertainment
mix.
thing, I guess now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there
That was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you for being here. It's been a great presentation.
Yeah, we'll come over one of these days again. Say hey.
Thanks, Ricardo.